But you can call it whatever you want. That's the thing. That's where religion doesn't really matter. And I never really use religion in any part of the talks I give or anything that I teach. I keep it out because there's so much conflict around it.
Mhm.
It's just better not to even use it. And people want to, like they said, I want marriage. I wouldn't use the names. I'd say, call who you like.
Yeah,
And they will, because
you
I just want to be a clean vessel for whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make blocks or
Mhm.
put my own thoughts on what that means to me in place of what they need. You know, I can do that and not know I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I just try to stay out of religion altogether. But that doesn't make me an atheist. It just means I don't like to call anything by one name.
Mhm.
Mostly because I've been to every religion and they're all the same.
Yeah,
So what do you call them? They're all
yeah,
the
they're
same.
you find the same thing in so many of them. So
All the
there's
books,
yeah,
start reading them. The same story is in every single book.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't change. And you know, it's funny because in the Quran, when I read the Quran, which is the book, the Muslim book, there's more Jesus in there than than in the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And
crazy. Jesus
yeah,
is mentioned all the time, really revered, and
exactly.
even Mary's
Yeah.
mentioned more than like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nation
it's
of is it
crazy.
Nation of Islam with Farrakhan and that? Yeah, he's always mentioning Jesus.
Yeah,
But
Jesus.
lady, are you living in Vancouver?
No, darling, I'm in the States right now, but I lived in Egypt for almost 20 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you're from Egypt too, or no?
No, I'm from America.
But you travel to the Islam world, that area, Middle East, or no?
Henna? No, no. You mean in Egypt or here?
Egypt, Egypt, Middle East, that area.
No, with Islam, no. I didn't find it. I didn't find any problem. No is the answer. No, there's
So,
no
Lion,
problem.
Lion, where are you originally from?
Iran.
Iran. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
But
But
your name is Akbar, huh?
yeah,
yeah.
but I saw many people, but I don't have myself experience in the out of the five sense. But I know I saw some people, they have some power, they do something extraordinary things that other people cannot do. And I don't know how to describe to myself.
Yeah. You don't know how, it's hard to hear you because you're sitting back a bit, but I didn't catch the last part.
You have to sit closer to your microphone, Akbar. I mean, Lion. There you go.
I said that in my life, I see many people, they have some power in different forms, but myself, and I don't have any experience, any of the five more sense is talking about that.
Ah, okay. Well, sometimes people do have them, but they don't know because they've not been, they haven't used them, really. I don't think anyone has anything less than me. I just think I'm more developed
Yeah.
because I've
And
had
you
mostly
practice, you mean? You
survival.
mean you practice and you reach
Yes,
that level?
yes.
Yeah.
It's like repetition is how we learn, right? So the more you do something, the better you get at it.
Okay.
So I can't take credit for, gee, look at me. I'm not really big on that anyway. Uh, it's been extraordinary so far. I don't plan on doing less, but I give, I think it's because the more open you are and the more you're available to accept that you can't possibly be it. You can't be it. And humans can't be it in this huge, amazing universe. Once you get over that, yeah, you pretty much things start happening. Yeah. And living in the Sinai with the Bedouin tribe is probably those 7 years of wandering in the desert. Those really made the biggest profound difference in me because watching sand fall from my fingers when the sun's setting, it was like, this is you. You're less than what you're letting run through your hands. You're less than that, than sand. And that kind of freedom just was really powerful. And so I started learning from nothing to be myself, not put restrictions. and not put any dogma on myself, nothing, anything that I knew to be true. I just said, no, I'm going to start from the sand. And I did. And I didn't know the language. So I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah. But you
Yeah,
also said that they were very in tune with nature, right? They were
yeah, the bed went
telepathic.
by. Oh my God. I'd arrive and they'd know I was there. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like they'd show
Yeah.
up. Oh, lady. I went, how do you know I'm even here? And they did. They always knew.
Yeah.
But you have to communicate. You have to. But I think the funniest thing when you're living in a country where it's a Muslim country, you don't speak the language, you're red hair and white American in a in a desert with people who are all wrapped up and walking camels, and you're there and they're like, what are you doing here? So I had no answer for that. It's like, I'm here until I'm not going to be, but I'm going to be here now. That was my thread. But they realized I understood what they were saying without understanding what they're saying. And then they started thinking, uh-oh, what's with this woman? And then they realized I could do what they did. And then that changed everything. Once they knew I could communicate with them the way they were, psychically, this is not the best word, but yeah, communicating through that was it.
Yeah,
They all had to start to, they all
very
kind of like,
and they could hear sounds that a lot of us, again, with all the noise and activity around us, we're kind of cut off from those nature sounds, right?
well, the sound of silence is profound.
Yeah.
And this is I trying to get my students to understand that. I asked them, did you hear the sound? They said, what? The sound of silence. Have you heard it yet? They were like, sound of silence? I went, yeah, try it.
Yeah.
But you can't hear it here. So much electricity and there's so many noises that you don't register. But in the middle of a desert, yeah, you can hear it. The stars that are talking, the sand is talking, you can hear everything. It's like a whole nother world, especially if you live out there for a long period of time.
Yeah.
You get so desensitized living in cities.
You do. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's, and I've often wondered too, lady, is it the electrical grid around us that kind of interferes with even our own, telepathic abilities and that sort of stuff? Whereas if we were out in, these areas away from, the grid, would improve. So.
I think you're right about it. I mean, I think it would improve, but the way the earth is set up now and humanity and what they've done and the grid of electricity is, it's kind of hard to find a place where there isn't any.
Yeah.
But the lady, can you read the people mind too?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Do you have something you want to hide? Don't sit by me.
Okay, can you read my mind?
No, I'm kidding, Lion. I'm not. Pay me for that, Lion. Sorry, it's a job. Can you read my mind? Yes, I can.
Yeah. So,
but that really is interfering. I mostly listen. It paid the bills, but now it's more about getting you to be in a position where you're happier with who you are, and what do you need after that? When all your needs are met, what do you need? You don't need anyone else telling you anything, just you. So that's my focus, consciousness, which is why I came, because Diane put consciousness was the topic.
Yeah. And I just want to go back to that first experience with the sand, and you said, "Oh, this is you're nothing" or something. What do you mean by that? Like I didn't quite get that.
So here we are, right? We think that we're so important. People, I'm going to say this stuff, but just kind of like keep it in perspective. I'm not trying to make an argument. All right.
Yeah.
So I have people here, it's like they don't want to get the COVID shot, right? Just let me go there. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they think that someone is putting something into them so that they can be read. Everything about you is already somewhere. Nobody really cares that much about you. The other thing is they want to use their blood for something. They're injecting you. They're not taking it out. Okay. So the whole concept of, do you really think you're that important? I mean, why would they choose you? You have your mother with a kid and you go to school. don't you think they pick someone that's worth something, that had some great blood or some great mindset or something? None of us are that important. I'm sorry, we're just not. And everything they need, they don't need any of us. We're just little pawns and paupers in the life. We're nothing. We're nothing. So first off, take off the amount of who you think you are out of it. The desert, when you sit there and you let the sand run through your fingers and you realize there's that sand that's running through, and then you look at the universe and the massiveness of it. And you on Earth in there, if you look at the big picture, it's the dot. And on the dot is then the water, and then you're not in the water. Then you're on this little land, and little land's in a little country, and little country has a little state, and little state has your little yard. You're nothing.
Yeah.
You get to be absolutely nothing. And when you can strip yourself down, then you can open up, because you don't have the preconceived notions of who you think you are, and someone told you what you were. It's all comes down to the basics, the very basics. So when I figured the sand was telling me something, and it was telling me to go back to the basics, just strip it all out. So I realized I was nothing.
And what you're saying is, what I think you're saying is, that was a good way of kind of clearing you out of some past things, right? That you identified yourself as being. So
Well,
when you start at nothing, you can build from nothing.
Yeah, but everyone identifies you as something.
Yeah.
Forget what you identify yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I identify Dave in a certain way because from what I met of him, right? I
Mhm.
think about him with the horses and the Reiki and the thing we did in Egypt. I identify you with being there. Oh, whenever I needed a body to teach my classes, you were there ready to receive, and Reiki and all the others, whatever I was teaching, I know you would come. And you did, and we became friends, and I took you to places that,
Yeah.
we did stuff because it was exciting. All right, but that's my understanding of you, but I don't really know you.
Yeah.
And you really don't really know me. You know some stories,
Yeah.
and you were in my classes, but that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many other things have happened that have completely changed the way I perceive now.
Yeah.
And it makes, when you can, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Yeah, when you can become a grain of sand, then you really can open up. It's not about going backwards and trying to understand where you can, because that's a dead garden, right? You can't go back and water the past. What is it going to do for you? You can't fix anything from the past. You can't change anything from the past.
Yeah.
You can't talk to anybody who died. It's the past.
Yeah.
But what you can do is create your now reality. And in order to do that, you need to focus on now, don't bring the stuff that you don't want with you.
Yeah.
Leave it where it came from.
Yeah. Do
yeah.
you see benefits of sharing like some of your unusual experiences in helping like people? Do you find that that helps to expand their understanding of, what we are and, our relationship, in this reality and the greater reality or world?
I think that when people talk about things that have happened to them in those contexts, then it's good. But if you're going to talk about, some trauma or drama or something that happened to you, that is not helpful. In fact, it drags your energy down and you go to lower vibration. And when you do that, it's harder to get out.
Yeah.
Listen, it's hard to get to a higher vibratory state, but when you start doing it all the time, you never want to go backwards. You never want.
Well, I
don't want to tilt.
Yeah, when we have these extraordinary experiences, though, some they can come across as negative, but you can learn certain things from them. They go, wow, like this was a really unusual experience, right? That it opens you up to a greater understanding of the world. But again, it's using an unusual, it's the unusualness of that experience rather than the trauma of the experience that you remember, right?
The thing that happened to you had a trauma to it, but there's nothing to me negative that happened to you.
Yeah, like, I came out of it basically,
so that kind of story, that's good, because then people say, oh, I didn't want to tell anyone, but this sort of happened to me.
Yeah.
Great, because that just means the reality that we live in is dimensional. And you've
Yeah.
accepted that from experiential understanding, which is what I was trying to tell the other guy. It is an experiential understanding. It's not you just telling me. I'm just telling you, you had it happen to you.
Yeah.
So you experienced it. And once you do, that makes your brain fire differently. There's like, whoa, what was that? And it's like, hello, what's that? And now it's waiting there for the next time you're going to fire it off, because it's going to happen again for sure.
Yeah, yeah, which it did. So, no lady, are you still going to stay with us? Because I would like to share one more story and have your comments, or
Oh,
do you have time?
yes.
Because I know you're a busy lady. You're a busy lady.
Tomorrow I have
lady.
to, I'm a busy lady. Tomorrow I have work, but I don't have to work until 10 in the morning. So now it's 11:16.
So this one, the first one I called Out of Harm's Way, the one with the car. But this one I call my bodyguard, and I am working on a website, so I'd like to post some of these, on that website. And this actually happened 11 days before 9/11 in 2001, and I had been in at a conference in May 2001, a museum conference in New York.
Sorry, 11 days before 9/11?
Yeah, it was the Labor Day weekend. I went back. I had been there in May for a conference and decided to take my sister to New York on the Labor Day weekend because she'd always wanted to go and she'd never been, right? So I'll just read a bit of this and then I'll elaborate as I go. So often when a traumatic event happens to us, we may not grasp the full meaning of it until many years have passed. And this was my situation in relation to an incident that happened in September 2001, just several days before the events of 9/11. On the Labor Day weekend, I decided to visit New York City. I had been in Manhattan in May to attend a conference and decided to go back in September with my sister as she had never been before. We visited the usual attractions, including the World Trade Centers and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So as we were leaving the Met, that's the museum, I was standing at the top of the stairs. It was sunny outside, so I put on my sunglasses and I stepped down. But I remember as I put my sunglasses on, it was almost as someone had rubbed Vaseline on it, right? It was blurry, it was weird. All of a sudden, I started to fall forward. I saw a figure to my right, and I grabbed it as I was falling. I could hear the sound of people gasping as my body went headfirst down the stairs. As I flew downward, I seemed to be riding on the back of a person because I could see a head of curly dark hair. My first thought was that I had pulled my sister down with me. My sister Nancy was with me. Okay. When I got to the next landing, and a lady would know this, with the Metropolitan Museum of Art, like it's a long staircase, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe 8 to 10 steps, then the landing, the next, right? Okay. So when I got to the next landing, I looked up to see my sister rushing down the stairs towards me. She cried out, "Diane, are you all right?" Right? She, like, what happened? I was both shocked and relieved. I sat up on the step and I thought to myself, if she didn't fall down the stairs with me, who did it? Who did, right? Then my sister said something that really stuck in my mind all these years. She said, "It was a good thing you kept your head up, or this could have been worse." I thought to myself, I kept my head up because of this other person that, I was riding on their back, right? So who was the person? For years, I pondered if what I saw was an angel or a loved one that passed away years ago. Then in 2014, I read Robert Monroe's books about his out-of-body experiences. And one of my favorite was his second book, Far Journeys, right? And he's from the Monroe Institute. In them, he writes about how he would leave his physical body and travel in his second body. And he would talk about the third body and all that, but he really talked about the second body that looks very much like our physical body, right? Which is an etheric version of the physical one. So I speculate that as what I saw as I fell down the stairs was my second body. But I didn't recognize it as such because it was the back of my head, right? So how does this fit as an event related to divine intervention? Well, or our topic. Well, we too are divine, multidimensional beings. So our other selves can protect us when the need arrives. So there you go.
Didn't you ask your sister the question? Like, I felt like I'm riding on someone's back. What else did you see? Did you ask her?
No, I didn't ask her that. That would be
Why?
interesting. Yeah, I never thought to ask that. I just remember her saying you had your head up. She said that you were holding your head up, and I remember that as I was going down, I was holding my head up right like this. So
You should ask her.
yeah.
She might not. She
Yeah.
might not have told you because you think it was weird. So the
Mm.
answer might be very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, if she saw like a person or someone else.
But whatever she might have seen,
Yeah,
let's don't,
you know what,
don't put it
lady?
out there and what it may be. But
Yeah.
whatever she says, without you telling her what you think, let
Yeah.
her tell you and see what she says.
Yeah. I'm gonna
I
ask her that.
I think I saw a shadow that's kind of weird. Okay, but you don't have
Yeah.
to say anything else. But yeah,
It's
like that.
interesting. You said that the shadow, because just from the corner of my eye, when I went to grab something, it was like this dark
Shadow.
thing, this dark figure. Yeah, very much a shadow. Yeah.
So this is the ethers. This is what I call the ethers.
Yeah.
So the ethers are very tangible. They're around you all the time. They're around you right now. And they don't go away. And whenever there's excitement or something going on, they get very thick. And then whatever the job is, they're part of that. So if it means, if they're hearing out, no, she can't get hurt, then they get thicker around you and you'll feel like you're bouncing or whatever. It happened to me in a car. That's when I first met the ethers. I was like 15 or 16. But anyway, now I call them. So if I want the ethers to come and help me do something, I can get really happy fast and they show up. So I can laugh for no reason at all. And then the ethers would come because they like it. They like excitement. They like action, but then they also like war because it's action. They don't know the difference because they have no emotion. They're not human. They have no beingness. There's no beings. There's no beings. So Vast has loads of ethers, and the ethers have been with you forever. And you've been working with them and you don't even know it. So this might be an experience of it, but shadow is common. The word shadow is common.
Yeah.
When someone says, yeah, I felt like it was a shadow, and I was like,
yeah,
that's the ethers. They're always there, but some people
Yeah.
call them guardian angels, some people call them guides.
Yeah.
But the ethers are actually really thin, but when they get together, they can be really thick.
Okay.
And then they look like a shadow, but they don't make a form per se.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so are they like just energy swirling and then they can take shape? They take form? Is
They
that
don't,
what it-
I want you to think of it not as a shape because you're going to make it human. So you can't make them human. That's the big problem with us. We make everything like us. No.
Yeah.
So the ethers, because that's what we do. The ethers are thin, wispy, thin.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
go this way, that way, whatever way they want.
Yeah.
But when it's about you, it wants to get close to you, you'll think it's a human form because they're close to you. So they're thick like you. I know you're seeing human form, but it's not that. It's the form. They're forming, but they're not human. You see what I mean? Like
So
you cast a shadow, right? When you cast a shadow, you see your form, but it's not exactly your form, but it looks like you, right?
Yeah, because I guess we're conditioned to
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the part
make
of the brain.
a shape
part
out of
that.
everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
But when you cast a shadow, you can walk around. The sun's a certain way. You can cast a really long, skinny shadow, or a really short shadow, or like no shadow. So ethers are like that. They'll form around whatever the action is.
Yeah.
But they're not people. They're not human. There's nothing human about them. But they can be what you want.
Yeah.
It's like having something around you that'll do whatever you want. But it can be positive or negative depending on you, not them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
They're
kind
not
of
a them,
set the tone.
they're it. They're it. They're not a them, they're an it. Them is a people. No, it's a it.
Okay.
Mhm.
They're wispy energy.
Yeah,
But they take on whatever state of emotional state. Yeah, emotional.
Yeah,
state.
they like excitement. So either you're really happy or really sad, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any emotion. They just know something's going on that's interesting and maybe you need me. So they come to help you.
Yeah.
But they don't discern. You're the one that uses them correctly or incorrectly,
mhm.
Yeah.
or to harm or not harm.
Yeah.
That's why I always write choose joy, harm none, and be vast. Harm none. Number one thing, harm none. Don't harm
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, I think I had to go through that experience. Actually, it broadened me, but also I was very unhappy in where I was working at the time, right? And I was resisting a change in my life. I really need to make a change, and I was resisting it, right?
Yeah.
So this was kind of, something to kind of break me out of it.
Push you over the edge.
Yeah, push me. Yeah, push me. Unfortunately, yeah, over the edge.
But you did okay. You didn't get
Yeah,
hurt.
it was fine. I broke my wrist, and sprained the other one, but that was it. It could have been worse, right?
Oh, a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was in a car accident with this guy. We skipped school. I never skipped school, but one day. And that's the day the Camaro got in the car accident. One day. I never skipped school. I was so good. So he's driving the car and he's like so excited about it. And I'm like, you don't really drive well. I'm like, I can't wait to get back to school because this guy can't drive. Well, no sooner said. Then a car came around the corner and he like flipped down and went, turn the wheel. So he got hit. When he got hit, I was like lifted out of my seat and like held. So the car, everything happened to the car, and I was just like watching it. And all I kept saying was, yep, just make sure nothing happens to me because I don't want to get in trouble. I need to get back to school. That's all I kept thinking was, my father is worse than the car accident.
wow. So you were fine.
Oh yeah.
And
Nothing,
what
not a
you felt that
scratch.
there was a shield around you?
No. Somebody was holding me, like literally holding me, like hug in the air. Yeah.
Really?
No shield. No. I was looking around saying, oh boy, that's not me. Just don't let anything happen. I wasn't not afraid, nothing. Just don't let go. I don't want to be in this role. So yeah.
Oh, so you
And
were
then-
like lifted out of the car by this thing?
No, I was in the car
Car?
being held around where everything was happening around me, but I wasn't part of it.
Wow.
I was just
And
being
there was
held
a
there.
cyclone. Wow.
Yeah, they were going for it, and there was 4 of us. So the other people got varying degrees of hurtness. I don't remember them all now. But I told the cop, I need to get to school now because my father's going to be it's bad. He said, oh, you're one of the bodyguard. I said, yeah. He went, okay. So he drove me to school. So those guys all stayed there. They didn't need me. And I went to school and I didn't get caught. But man, but because I was so concerned about getting caught and getting in trouble for my father, that whole thing happened. And I just was like, it happened at school. It was years later before I went, that really happened. Nothing happened to me because they were talking about the accident. I went, nothing happened to me in that accident. They said, yeah. And then you were gone. I went, yeah, the cop brought me to school. Why? We had to stay there. I went, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I got out of all of it and I didn't get hurt or anything.
Yeah, Kenny.
So lady, what did you call those things that you just sounded to me? What was that?
Ethers.
Ethers. Okay.
ETHERS. Ethers.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for all that explanation. That clarifies quite a number of things in my life.
The ethers have helped you because the more you recognize them, the more help that they will be.
It's a Buddhist exercise. I went on this huge retreat. It lasted way longer than I thought it would. And a couple more showed up, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
So the more I use them and inquire on them and relate with them, the more they'll relate right back. Perfect.
If
Thank you.
you have, for me, the best time for me when I want to be more, well, listen, honestly, being here is kind of boring.
Yeah.
So I really like to be in Bass as much as I can. So I'm always calling the ethers in to help me rise. I don't want to stay here. And all the information that you can possibly want is there. And everything, every need you have is met there. So you don't want for anything, you don't need anything. You're just in bliss for hours on end. And you can still function, but you can be in bliss at the same time. And the ethers keep you in that state because that's your passion and joy and desire keeps them active. And when they're that active and they're thick, you're able to
Okay.
use them.
Yeah, so that kind of matches what my understanding was too, but quite a different way of putting it. Where does that paradigm come from? Is it a
Well,
traditional one, or is it one you created, or?
I have to tell you that you're not going to like this, but I have
Uh-oh.
to tell you, yeah, you're so limited in what you're saying. If you have a gift towards healing, you can't put it in boxes like you're doing. And I think that you're only meeting me so that you can understand that you've been closed down for too long. So I'm sure we're meeting for this reason. So you need to blow that open, and you're going to do that because you're going to be curious. And two, you're going to find some expansion when you start to breathe outside of the box you've been living in. Once you start to stretch, that falls away, and now you have all this ability that you didn't know you had because you didn't know you could use that much. And the ethers allow it. So the ethers kind of like give you the support you need to break through all the things that are blocking you. And they will take form to whatever you want, but usually your form is what they're taking. So when you see an angel, and that form is what you want to see. So they will create what you want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that can,
How do you blow it out? Like, so I hear your words, but I also see the bars of my own prison, and the bars of my own prison are more realistic than your words. So I got to flip that around.
yeah, you
So
gotta, yeah, you
in
will
25
too.
words or less. How do I do
Yeah.
that?
I think the easiest thing is to just test it. No one can understand unless you experience it. See, vast is a place filled with every wisdom of every subconscious from everything living anywhere, any living thing in every place, and it's all there. But you can't go like I can't talk to my little globes. They're bouncing around, but I can't talk to them because I'm not vibrating high enough to reach them. And then when I do vibrate higher, I vibrate so high they're not here, and I never get a chance to talk to them because I don't know if I can even.
Yeah.
They come and go. I have no control over my orbs. They do what they want. So I've never been in a position to test that, but I know when I vibrate really high, that every place, everywhere I go, even outside, inside, it doesn't matter, I am lifted. And people will come to you and just, they don't even know why. They have no idea why they're smiling at you. You're like, how are you?
I've had
Good.
that the odd time.
Because you're so full of joy and they want it. So it helps to ease their pain, ease their uncomfort. You become a natural conduit for joy. And that is the best healer, right? So the ethers will stay more active when it's something passionate. But if you're really angry and upset and you have a gun and you're shooting people down, they're coming as well to help you with that. So it's keeping yourself in the right place.
Yeah.
They have no idea about right or wrong, nothing. So the idea is the bars you're making, you're right, they're all in your head. They're not real. They're not real.
Yeah, I've had numerous experience of reaching out to that energy for help. And, it's taken different forms at different times. It's just been a way to ask, to have a conversation, but it's like a knowing, a way of just putting it out there, but also it's a knowing that it's there and that they are going to help. Like I say they, but it is, it is just, I know that I'm being listened to.
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
I've had so much proof that, you know, it's undeniable. So it's, and the one example that's been coming to mind the last few days in the lead up to this is when my mother went into palliative care because of her illness. And I would just reach out, you know, fall asleep every night, just asking that, you know, I didn't want her to suffer, of course. And so I was just asking her to just take her peacefully, like just, you know, make this transition as easy as possible. And I just continued that, you know, every chance I had. But it was especially when I was at night falling asleep or in bed trying to fall asleep. And just the sequence of events that happened, you know, from the time I was really asking for the help and until she passed was incredible. Like all the nurses and doctors and caregivers that, you know, I was having meetings with, and this was all when COVID first broke out. So everything was shut down, but everything just, it was like a pathway was cleared for us. And all the doctors and nurses and caregivers, and we're always just shaking their head saying, this just doesn't happen. This just isn't, like, we've never seen this happen before, right? That everything just came off without a hitch. And because they had been in the system and just, they knew how it was going to go. And so this energy I was, you know, asking for just took care of it. It just, you know, like for us to get her the last week of her life into a hospice, well, it was pretty much impossible, but it just happened exactly when it needed to. And you know, it was just a great, it just really affirmed what I knew, that when you're, you know, yeah, you're asking, you're putting that intention out there, that energy, like you said, that passion, and you know, that energy that you're asking for, that you're feeling is answered, and that, you know, you can, and just stay in touch with that, and it moves things along. It did the, yeah.
It's exactly, these are the things that I'm sure of.
Yeah.
You have to have clarity of thought, and you have to answer the question, what do you want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You wanted her to pass as quickly as you wanted her to be in a nursing home. You wanted whatever you wanted. You were definite. You were clear what you want, and then you're repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
At the best time, which is when you're going to sleep. This is the best time.
Mm-hmm.
The most perfect time is on your way to sleep. When you get up to pee, go back to bed, think about it again. When you get up,
Yeah.
think about it again, and go.
Yeah.
But first is clarity. You have to have clarity.
Mm-hmm.
The second is you have to have passion, desire and passion for whatever it is. You have to have a strong, strong emotion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to get off your ass and do something. So if you think it's going to come and help you and you didn't do, no, it's never going to work. So as soon as you have those things in your mind and you're willing to do something towards it, vast will open up and say, here comes the knowledge. You take it, make it your experience, and understand it, and that will open everything up. And then that's what happens. And you're just describing exactly what it is. I teach and what it is people do. Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are all of them. So I have people do meditative things and breathing techniques so that they can get into a state, because they're not used to using their lung, which is a big problem. People don't use their lungs. They use just small bits of it. So I have them use most of it, all of it as I can, and then put them on a visual guided meds for meditation, not meds, guided meditations, and then work with tools so that they can lift and be in a lifted state. So the thing that's most important though, which people are kind of like, well, I did what you said for a week and it didn't work. I'm like, you did it for a week. Wow. A week. Oh, woohoo. Let's all get the candy out.
Yeah.
And and then they ask for things that are like, I want a mansion in the woods with 2 cars. I'm like, well, let's start with something smaller. You can have the dream, but how do you get to the dream? Like, well, how are you going to help that dream happen? Where's the mansion, the car? Do you even know where that is? Do you have a location? No, I didn't think of that. That's not clarity. You need absolute clarity, which is what you had. Then you have to have the passion, the desire with it. It has to be there. And then you have to make a movement towards it. You have to participate in it's happening. So, but what you want for the future is crazy. Don't think about the future. It's now. This is the present moment is all you have.
Yeah.
You have nothing else.
Yeah.
Don't stay here and develop from here. Like everything I want is here now.
Yeah.
Okay, I need $500 in 2 days. I will have it
Mhm.
because I always do.
Mhm.
I've never in my whole life said, oh, gee, I'm low on money. Where's it coming from? And it just shows up. Why? Because I want it and have a reason and I'm passionate about it and I don't care. I'm not worried about it. I don't put any fear or negativity. So the guy said before, do you have any fears? I'm like, I'm probably the most fearless person I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I'm pretty fearless.
Yeah,
And
you
there's-
are. You are.
I wasn't even born with fear. I think there's so many kids in my family, they forgot to teach us that one. But I don't have fears. I'll get on a plane and go anywhere. I don't care. I don't have it. I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I just don't have it. So thank goodness, because it's been very beneficial not having fear as a guide.
I'll hold the other end of your ladder because I've got all the fear you will ever need. I'm in denial. I want to admit that I've got
I
it. but-
fly. I don't need a ladder. A ladder is too earthly. No, I like to fly. That's fine. Now, I think when you vibrate at a higher level, you will just break through that. You just have to spend the moments being clear. Just, Kenny, look, think of something that's outside of what you already know. What do you want? Just pick anything you want, you really want. Maybe you can say, well, when I was younger, I should have done this, or when my wife, whatever, skip all that. That's the past. You look forward. What do you want? What would you like to have right now? What is it? And you can't go back and fix anything. None of that works. You can't, that's gone. You can't say, I go back and talk to my uncle. No. It can only be forward. Something now, and there's no going back. That garden is gone. Now it's the new garden. You have to plant your seeds in front of you and right in front of you, not there, not next week. Now, what do you want right now? Once you get that, then put some passion behind it and then do something towards it and repeat. And before you know it, not only will that happen, but things will start coming to you to make something grander happen from that want. And all of a sudden, you're like in a whole another place you didn't even know existed because you never thought it was possible because you're stuck in old mentality. It just opens up like a book. And I do it all the time and I teach it all the time. And listen, I have some stories of other people that they should tell you themselves. Incredible changes they made from desperate, depressed, everything's horrible. And I have nothing going for me to an author of a best-selling book in 5 months.
Yeah.
You know, these things are happening. They're happening. And I'm using that because since COVID, the people, I don't usually work in the States. I was abroad, but I haven't been able to travel because I'm stuck here. So I had to go on Zoom. And yeah, so now I'm getting to watch people here because listen, Americans are arrogant, and I am one, but they are arrogant, and you know, they think they're entitled to everything, and they're not entitled to anything more than anyone else. And I don't think it's a color issue. I think it's just across the board. You know, we come from a country that was built on massacring people. So like England, they killed everything. So they came here, right? So then we killed everything. They're like, what kind of country is that? How do you expect that to vibrate higher? Well, you have to. So we have to vibrate higher. So the ones that are doing that are really easing up the tensions between, this is the Native American land I'm on right now. So what about them? Okay, well, I'm not responsible for them, but I am responsible for how things move. So we're involved in lifting all over the place for everything, not just one or the other, and not just for yourself. But when you want to do what do you want in your now, that's all you think about. what do you want? Just you, just now. Once you get those, a few of them, then you can spread out a little bit. Okay, I'm done talking.
Thank you, lady.
Yeah.
I just, we only have a few minutes left, and lady, I know it's late there, so I really appreciate.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
I just want to thank, those of you
Thanks for
that are
having
left
me.
in the group. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate, lady, you sharing your knowledge and your skills. Right? You're a very special person. I've often said that because
Thanks, Diane.
you're very gifted.
I think look, first up, I have to say, yes, I have gifts, but I also believe, and it's been my experience, the more that I work in vast and the more I vibrate in higher level, everyone's gifted.
Yeah,
They're just not doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone. Like I said, when I lived in Egypt all those 17 years, those people knew exactly where I was coming and going all the time. And they're roaming a desert with no phones. I mean, how do they know that? They just did.
Yeah.
And they would sit there on a mountain and say, I think she's where's your friend? Oh, la, la, pointing to the mountain. And then about an hour later, across the mountain path, when this person would show up, I'm like, bizarre, but I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I didn't
incredible
understand
experience.
I didn't understand vast then, but now I do.
Yeah.
But really, lady, I know you have your other projects with your books and that, but really one about your life is really, I want a copy of that one.
I know everyone asks for that book, but the problem is I'm writing about so many other things to help humanity that I know one day it'll be I have to just talk and someone can write. I just can't do it.
I'm a
I
writer.
have,
Oh,
oh,
you're a
good.
writer?
I'm a writer, and I'm writing a book on spirituality and path for atheists and mathematicians.
Wow.
Yeah, November is writing month for me. I'm going to finish the first draft by the end of the month.
Good for you.
Right.
Is that what you
Yeah.
want to
Good.
do?
It sure is.
You really want to do it, like you're passionate, you're really going to be in it. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be like really in it, then it will work.
Yeah, thank
If
you.
you have the like, I think it's going to get done. No, it's not going to.
So I want to thank I just want to thank everyone.
Talk to you at the next insights, but I don't use Meetup at all. I just because you were on LinkedIn, I saw you, and that's how we hooked up. Meetup, I don't get along with that app at all.
Okay.
I don't know why it's a problem here. It just is. So
Yeah.
people are okay
Anyway,
with it. I just always have
lady,
trouble.
I really interested about when you trip to the Egypt and living there for 15 or 17. I am not sure how many years you live. I want to know a little more, maybe next time to talk about the Egypt if you have a time.
Okay, I don't think that's what Diane wants to talk about.
Well, yeah, that's I mean, talking about our experiences, like Lady and I were both in Egypt, and how
Yeah.
it relates to expanding consciousness is a good thing. But the talking about the Egyptian people and that sort of stuff. Well, actually, one of the stories I do want to share.
Diane, you was in Egypt too?
Yes, I was
That's how I met her.
teaching there. Yeah, I was teaching there, and I left in December
15, wasn't it?
14,
because I left
Yeah.
before you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it was an
great.
incident that I had another, one of those falls, so to speak, and I got assistance, and so. But anyway, we'll leave that for next time.
Before we call it
Okay.
a night, I'd like
Yeah.
to thank everybody. I really enjoyed the evening and the stories, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
it
so
was
much,
fun.
everybody. Kenny, Lady, and Diane, and Dave. Thank you. Thank you so much.
thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this is
Lion.
nice.
Lion.
Everybody else was like, this is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me know when the next one is when you talk to me. So
Thank you,
when you
Lady.
want to do.
Thanks.
And I did get your information today too. I just haven't a chance to go through it. You sent me, I think, another video. So
Okay, you have
All
that,
right.
and I think I, oh
Okay.
no, I didn't send you. I was gonna send you the first part of the book so you could read exactly what this is.
Okay, all right,
Well,
Okay.
nice, guys, really
Good
nice talking
night.
to Dave.
thank you.
Bye-bye. Love you. Thanks.
Bye, good night, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good
Bye,
night.
Ken. Bye, lady.